Let me see. Great. Can everyone see the slides? Yes, awesome. Okay. Well, Linda introduced me very kindly. A few words that may be, relevant in addition to what she said. Um, I have a PhD from Princeton in literature. I worked at the Keller Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and also at Princeton. And now I'm a fundraiser, and I work at St. Joseph's University by day and by night, evening and morning. I really enjoy thinking through the negotiations optics and helping others to see how to live their life better and offer other people what they need. So today we're going to be talking about negotiations in your lives. And let's start by doing a quick breakout, introducing ourselves and talking what are we negotiating in our lives. Um, and if you are not sure what you are negotiating or should be negotiating, think about what you can improve in your life, but not by working on yourself. We do that a lot, but by talking to other people and requesting and getting them what they need and getting you what you need. So Linda, I know you have additional questions. So can I ask you to tell them?
Sure. So I think that question is great, what you're currently negotiating, and that kind of fits with anything you're hoping to get out of today, and maybe something you're struggling with as well. What was the other one? I had it and I lost it. Going too quickly. So, what are you most interested in learning today? And then same with what are you struggling with? So, yep. So it's all focused on the same thing. What are you currently negotiating, but also maybe anything else you're hoping to get out of today, just to put it front of mind.
Yeah. And if you could, Linda, let's do groups of three or
Yep.
two.
Yep.
And if you could choose a note taker within the group, and the note taker's duty, if they don't mind, would be to jotting down the situation in the chat and then just sharing in the chat if the owner of the situation is comfortable sharing it. It doesn't have to be, 5 sentences, just, very quickly, what's the situation? And let's try and do 1 minute per person to introduce, to tell about the negotiation or struggles or other questions that Linda
That's that
introduced.
sounds that sounds like 5 minutes. Is that what you'd like to do? 1 minute each, or
Five
would you?
minutes altogether. Yeah,
Yep.
let's do
O-
that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would normally do
Yeah.
7, but do you think 5 is better?
7. We let's see how it goes. I
All
would
right.
I would try to, for the situation conversation, I would just
Yep.
definitely give no less than a minute per person, but then intros and getting
Oh, yes. Got it.
around is going to take time.
All right. We are going to compromise and do 6 minutes if it seems like you'll go with it. All right. So welcome to also take a screenshot of your group, which gives you an excuse to be in touch with each other. And it's a lot of instructions, but we know you can handle it. So we will have, it says 60, I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap it up.
Hey.
All right, yeah, and we're completely in sync. And some people are unassigned. Lisa, you are in group 5 if you want to join it. Otherwise, I will add other people to group 5.
Sure.
Great. If you need help moving, but looks like there's a group 10. And I'll find some rooms for people. Just give me a second here. 9. Oh, I want to take people out of their room. Okay, and that's 3 and 3, and we need a group for group 7. There we go. All right. Welcome, Denise. Lovely to have you here. Just looking to see which is the best group. We are going into small groups to say what we're negotiating. Okay, it looks like they're all groups of 3, which is perfect. Give people a little bit too much to do in those groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's group 5. I think everybody should have a group if you can just accept your group. Alicia, you are in group 8. Is it possible for you to hit accept? Or you're muted at the moment if you want to come on screen or come off mute. Pasca and Valerie will definitely handle being a group of 2. Well, let's see. They are really capable, but you would really enjoy meeting them as well.
Hey. Is everyone back now?
Yes, it looks like it brought everyone back automatically.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I had some really great conversations. So can I now ask the note takers to put the situations or struggles you discussed in the chat, if the owner of the situation expressed their permission, and if maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people could share, if they don't mind, just unmuting and coming to us here. What was the situation, or situations that you found in most need of negotiating, and what are you willing to learn from your group, and what was the third one? Yeah, struggles. Any struggles? Okay, and thank you everyone who's putting it in the chat.
I'm willing to talk about our group and what we discussed. 2 of us are self-employed and under contract, and we were talking about just what that looks like and how to go about that renegotiation process. And then the third is in a more of an entry-level position, but has a lot more experience to offer, but has a strong accent and wanted to overcome that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I was in group 4. I had the pleasure of speaking with Teresa and Mariah. Teresa is a well-being coach that is transitioning to corporate. They are wanting to learn how to negotiate and confidently speak about their worth. Mariah works at a company, and excuse me if I mistake the name, I believe it's Lean In. They are currently in Germany and they are an assistant. They are wanting to advance their position in the company, so they're also hoping to learn opportunities on how to negotiate and to speak of self-worth. I'm in the group. My name is Hope. I am an intake assistant at a law firm. I am scouting for a better paying job. I'm currently in the interviewing process at North Point. I'm hoping to learn how to negotiate and confidently speak of my background and what I bring to the table. I struggle with feeling confident and feeling like I belong in certain spaces. So I'm really hoping to learn from today's class.
Awesome. Thank you so much. These are great, and thank you to everyone who put screenshots and the themes that they discuss in the rooms. So let's take it a little further. we discussed negotiation situations, but what is negotiation? Is anyone willing to give me an impromptu definition in the chat or with their voice? If you have ideas, feel free to just unmute yourself and speak. Chat is fine as well.
Well, I can start. My name is Denise Mazzone from Minneapolis, and I negotiate because I'm a real estate broker. So I negotiate commissions. I also do development work, so I negotiate you know not only commissions but land sales deals, things like that. Um, and so it's I don't know if it would be like you know just two people trying to come together and I just negotiate from salaries or whatever, or even control of land, and I do it on a daily basis.
Thank you. So two people trying to come together, and you're absolutely right. There are so many topics that you can negotiate, so many situations. Yeah, I see some other good ideas. Kips. Getting what you want by making the other party feel as if they also got what they want. Love this one. Stating your needs and reasons why. Achieve win-win. Agreement. Negotiation is finding the compromise with people you're dealing with and be all satisfied of it. Growing the pie. Discussion between people groups to reach an agreement. Yes, very good. So I'm going to a very basic, right, definition, but I think it's really important. So what's important to my approach, some key features that I'd like us all to really use as a good foundation is, for a successful negotiation, you need to have other options. If you don't have other options, it's not a negotiation, it's a request. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. But knowing that you don't have other options changes everything. Then, and you mentioned that, you can offer something valuable to your counterpart. You have some leverage. Sometimes, please don't despair if you think you don't have any leverage. Most often, this is not true. We just need to discover it. And then negotiation needs to have a point. If it's actually better for you to go to your plan B, not to talk to this person, or this person is not a decision maker, it's not a negotiation. Don't enter it. Don't do it. Questions here. This is fairly important. Disagreements. Does it track so
Yes.
far?
I
Okay.
have a question.
Yeah,
You
please.
can offer something valuable to your counterpart. Can you please describe some things that could be valuable?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Why don't we go to analyzing a situation, and then it'll be easier to see. So we discussed, your plan B is your alternative. What are you going to do, right? So this is a fairly basic situation, and many of you mentioned it. You're up for a promotion, but the salary offer is lower than what a male colleague or any other colleague in a similar role is earning, but that male-female disparity is very common. So hope I will answer your question, but for now, let's focus on what your interests are and what is your alternative. Ideas.
My interest in the company is their community building skills. I think that they are very connected to the community, and there are lots of networking opportunity within the company that could help me feel more confident and really change the perspective of my career.
Okay, very good. So if you find yourself in a situation like this, you're up for promotion, but the salary offer is lower, and obviously, I assume you would want to negotiate a better offer, right? So if your interests are community building skills, lots of networking, wanting to change your career, do we want to add other interests or these are the main?
Let's say these are the main.
Okay. Then why do you want to be paid more money?
I want to be paid more money because I have experience community building in smaller organizations, and with a larger organization, it would require more work, more time, more focus. And I believe in order to actively help and to be present, the time compensation is very important in the process.
So you want to be fairly compensated, or not, let's not use the word fairly. You want to be the compensation worthwhile to you, right? Your skills, your time, your effort should be compensated so that it's interesting for you to do it.
Yes.
Excellent. And this articulating that interest, I think, is very, very important. So then, what is your alternative? And while we're thinking, Lizzie, I see a question.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay. So as I see it, I just lost myself in the thing. Okay. As I see it, so there is a promotion on the on the table. There is a promotion. I want it, but the salary offered to a male peer is higher to the one offered to the females, let's say. As I see, my interest is obviously get the promotion, but they get the equal salary of the male. I mean, and my interest is what I bring to the table, my experience, my years of experience in that particular position. What can I, in the what I offer to that company, my energy, my experience, my knowledge, everything, and then what I need for me, which is to grow in the company, to learn in a new higher position, and to earn more money because it's what I want. That would be
Lizzie,
the interest.
Sorry, I thought you had a question.
Oh no! That's I'm just saying that what my interest is.
Oh, good. No, that's very good. Think about your interests as what you want out of this, right? And you should have other ways to reach your interests, right? And this is not necessarily what you bring. This is what you want to get. So, Hope, returning to you if you're still up for it.
Yeah.
So please ask questions if everyone. Are we tracking so far? Yes, no, confusing? Okay, see people nodding. I will not see people who are not nodding. All right. Okay, so Hope, if you're okay continuing.
Yes.
So what are your alternatives? And then I'm going to ask someone else. So please, Hope, you go, and I'm going to ask everyone else, start thinking and typing in the chat. What would be your alternatives in such a situation?
My alternative kind of scares me because it feels like if I don't get the proper compensation, I might walk away, or I would have to see what connections I have in the company and see how I can talk to them through what my thought processes are and why I believe I deserve what I'm asking for and see where I can go from there.
Yeah, so you actually have some pretty good alternatives. You can seek higher pay elsewhere, and you can talk to other people, other decision makers in the company who can help you get what you want. Yes. And one key rule about your alternative and a negotiation you're entering is that your alternative needs to satisfy your interests, right? Questions here. Other ideas for alternatives. I see a hand. Ellie Sue.
So I had a bad link, so I missed the first part of this conversation. I have a question that maybe you guys touched on before, but it's a little bit different. I'm in a position where I started with the company. It will be 2 years in June. And there were three of us that were hired at the same time. And I'm the last one for the same position. And I'm the last one standing. And there's been three others that have come through. And now we're on our fourth one. So I've been through six other people since that time. And each person that's come through, I've found out have gotten higher pay than me. So it's not a male female kind of thing, but it's, each person. And so I've approached management, and the last person before this person that's been hired was getting paid $19 an hour. So they raised me to $19.25. And now the person that's in currently is making $20 an hour, and I'm making $19.25. And they're telling me that my call rate has to be for 3 months, 300 calls. And so I I haven't hit 300 calls in 3 months, but I hit it 1 month. But now I've taken on new responsibilities for one of our other clinics. And that is what I'm doing mainly because somebody else was let go. And so we have 2 clinics within our clinic, but I'm doing all of the work for the other clinic. And so I feel like I'm taking on a whole lot of other phone calls for this other clinic. And, things need to be looked at. So I'm getting a lot more overall calls and taking on this whole other clinic. But I'm really afraid to have a conversation about, like, hey, I've taken on this whole other workload, and so I feel like my call rate is going up because I have that whole other clinic. But, it's really hard. Like, that needs to be looked at. So obviously my call rate's going up because both clinics, are getting answered. But I also feel like one of my girlfriends said to me, was like, you know what, Ellie Sue, maybe you need to look at other opportunities, even though I love what I do, but maybe you do need to look out there and see if there is something else that might, now I have, my career for 29
Sue,
years.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Just because we're trying to get to as many situations as we can. That's an excellent situation to discuss in your breakout room once we've covered the theory. Was there a question, or is it more of a general, what do I do?
Well, I guess it's kind of what do I do? Like, should I be looking elsewhere and see if there's something else now that I have all this new experience in patient care coordination, that could get me. I mean, I got this.
So let me ask you to monitor what we're doing, and then ask yourself that question again, and hopefully you'll have an answer, and we can talk in the end. Yeah.
Okay.
But what LECU was asking us about is actually alternative, right?
Right.
do you have an alternative when you go to talk to your management about your interests and how you could find a way that's mutually interesting and that's mutually beneficial to satisfy them, or not? And if you don't,
Right.
that's not negotiation, that's request.
Right.
Other questions or ideas? And I'll go to the chat. You've written something. Alternative career training or other growth path or other benefits. Okay. Love, did you?
Yes,
Yes, please.
Claire mentioned you can come up with some other ideas that are not related to compensation, and this is going back to Hope, to the original question that came up. And so some of those other areas related to compensation are additional paid time off.
This is not alternative, though. You're absolutely right, but this is not yet alternative.
Okay.
This is ways that your interests could be satisfied. And it's very important to identify, right? It could not, it doesn't have to be just pay. It can be many other things. Thank you. Other questions here. Is the idea of alternative clear?
No.
No. Thank you, Hope. Thank you. Okay. So when we think about alternative, we need to find the ways that can satisfy our interests. So if our interest in this situation, more money, then how can I get more money? Can be my current job, can be somewhere else. And Hope, you named great alternatives. I'm going to look for other jobs, get an offer. I'm going to go to someone else who can make that promotion happen. These are pretty good alternatives. Is there anything else? Or what questions do you have about alternatives? So alternatives, again, it's, let me actually go to another situation. You book a meeting room for an important client presentation, only to find that a colleague has taken over the space without check-in. Again, that has happened. So what are your interests here? What are your alternatives? And maybe it'll become clearer. Hope, feel free to continue, or I can invite another person. You're muted. Okay.
Are we sorting this by alternatives and interest? Or are you asking?
Correct.
Okay.
So, if I can say something to this bullet, so I will kindly ask this colleague to leave the meeting room because I booked it before and in advance, and he didn't, and I have no other place, or he can just offer me another place where I can have this client meeting where I will have my peace and quiet for this important presentation. So either he will leave or he will me give another meeting room where I can present my stuff.
That's a great solution, but let's take a step back and analyze your interests and your alternatives. And Lucia, you're absolutely right. This situation can be resolved the way you described. But I want us to see, to really get this optics clear so that we can go back to that promotion question or other questions. And you would really see, what are my interests? What is my alternative? So may I ask you to think again, Lucia, what are your interests in this situation? When you have an important client presentation and your room has disappeared.
My interest is to have peace of quiet, and where can I present presentation or whatever it is for client.
Yes, so you need a designated place where you're not disturbed, where your client presentation can go well. Okay. Anything else?
Maybe I need some techniques. So that's our, for example, some place where I can present
Yeah,
my
so
presentation.
that all goes together. Your presentation needs to be technologically supported, needs to be undisturbed and as successful as possible.
Yeah.
Anything else? For example, if that colleague has done things like that before and does not seem to be willing to find a solution, what else might be there?
This is such a good game, but it's so tricky because the more I think of it, I can kind of feel like scared to answer. So, because especially in the position of knowing that specific employee has done it before, in the company, it feels like you're now becoming a nagger and you're not like problem solving with them directly. But then it also becomes this repeated stepping on toes situation that's hard to navigate and hard for you to, one, reach the goal of satisfying the client, and then two, reach a goal of working with your coworkers in alignment.
Being respected. Yeah. Okay. So your interest could be being heard, being respected. Great.
It's not only about me, it's also about my other colleagues. So not only me being respected, but respecting the rules when you want to have this meeting room. So you have to book it in advance. Also, there always can be some situation where it's not possible, but it can't repeat. So I will look for any preventive action, how to not happen.
Let's not rush into solutions. That's a great interest. Reliability of processes, right? When I booked a room, I need to know that the room is going to be there when I show up. That's a very important interest. Okay. Now, when you are approaching that colleague, what are your alternatives? We named 3 interests. What are your alternatives?
I said it before. So either he will leave, either he will find me another room for me, or maybe he will give me another option, his option, where my all needs will be satisfied. So I will
this
give
is
him
not
some
an
option.
alternative. This is good, but this is not an alternative. An alternative, and thank you so much, Lucia. And please don't feel like I'm disagreeing with you. You're being so helpful. This is not an alternative. This is negotiation. You're coming to talk to them. You do this or else. Alternative is something you can do without even bothering about them. Maybe you'll need to announce something to them, but basically you don't need them. You can just reach your interest, which we named as an undisturbed presentation supported technologically, respect, and relying on processes. And in this particular situation, there are priorities, levels of priorities, right? So maybe in this particular instant, when I really need to have that presentation, I will search for a plan B that just lets me have the presentation, and then I'll deal with, reliability of processes and respect. Yeah. So what are the alternatives? And if things are not clear, please let me know.
It's not. I don't know what the alternative is.
I can't get it also. What's the alternative?
Also. Because that looks like running away. And, you have plan B, plan C. It's all like everything is up to you now. You should have booked one room, then you should have booked another room. If that doesn't work, I have another room. It's like me working out on things.
So that's a very good point. Your alternative is something, it can depend on other people. That's fine. You don't have to do it alone, but it's just something else that you can do. It's not about always going to your alternative. It's about having it, right? So for example, if the presentation is 30 minutes away and that room is not free, I can go and look for other rooms that are free. I can go to my boss and say, this is completely unacceptable. Please go and yell at that colleague because they cannot do that. I can, what else can I do? That wouldn't require me negotiating with that colleague.
I will tell him to find the solution to
We'll
reach
get
my
there.
goals.
Yeah. Yes. But what is the alternative? Not talking to the colleague.
Not so, okay, so I will find my solution. So I will go for another room, but that's not the structure solution for somebody who is doing it constantly. But I know I have to do it now at this time, so I will find my place.
Very good. Thank you, Lucia. Again, you solved for the immediate priority, for the immediate interest, but the respect is not solved. Reliability of processes is not solved. So
I will do it afterwards. Yeah.
You can do it afterwards. What can you do without talking to the colleague?
If it's something what repeats every week, I don't know when, so I will talk to his boss, and I will also check if he had any something like learning or whatever, if he knows the rules about booking the these rooms. So
you could go to HR and say, hey, I've noticed this is happening a lot. Have there been trainings, etc.? Very good. Other ideas?
There's a lot in the chat right now as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. So one was, Sonia mentioned, go back to your office and do the presentation without presenting the PowerPoint. That was an option. Reschedule with the client. Malama has a question. Why shouldn't we just talk to that person?
That's an excellent question. And I'm not saying you shouldn't talk to that person. You should. You should do that while knowing your alternatives.
Okay. And then Claudia just mentioned an alternative is to show up to the scheduled room even earlier.
Well, yes, but when you're in a situation when that's already happened, that's not something you can do. But yeah, I guess for the future, you can just show up, 2 hours in advance. Does it really satisfy your interests?
No.
You'll need to prioritize. Exactly. To me, it doesn't. But then again, priorities of interest. Let's do another one. And again, thank you so much, Malama, for asking this question. Let's do another one. And let me clarify. We're talking about interests, alternatives, before we talk to the person so that you can set yourself up for success. So that, when you say, hey, I booked this first, can you please leave now? And they say, no way. You know that you can go to your boss. You know that you can go to HR. You know that if need be, you can just go to another room and have your presentation at peace. This is why we talk about alternatives. Does it make sense? Yeah? Okay. Let's do another one, and I'll send you to breakout rooms to find alternatives.
Thank you.
No, thank you. So you realize that between you and your partner, you're handling most of the housework, from cleaning to managing schedules and family logistics. Negotiate. What are your interests? What are your alternatives?
My interest is having the housework, cleaning schedule, and family logistics shared. My alternative is figuring out how do I get my partner to work with me to complete these tasks. Is that right?
Not quite. It's not your alternative. It's
okay.
Well, Well, no, it could be alternative, but let's dive a little deeper. So you want shared responsibilities. Your interests are shared responsibilities. So that sounds like fairness or equity. Okay. What other interests could be there? You are handling most of the housework, from cleaning to managing schedules and family logistics. You may want to do less, just simply do less. You don't care who does more, but you don't want to do it. So then what are your interests?
I would say divide and conquer kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You know, I I I think that like in our household, um, I my husband used to work different shifts, and so he's home at 2:30 now. And so if he does most of the housework, and I get home at like 5:30, and then I take care of like the schedules and family logistics, doctor's appointments, that kind of thing. And then on the weekends, when we're both home, then I can help with housework and that kind of stuff. I mean, we have a 26-year-old now, so it's a little bit different than when our son was little, but that's kind of how we manage our household, and we take turns, if need be, but that's kind of our alternative, what we worked out that works out for our household.
Yeah, so figuring out a way in which you could do less and your partner could could pick up the slack, but in a way that fits their schedule or whatever else. Okay, so yeah. Sorry, I thought there was a.
Sonia mentioned an alternative was to pay for help, reduce complexity by simple routines, or let go of non-essential tasks.
Love this. Thank you. Thank you, Sonia, and thank you, Love, for summarizing. Any other interests? We said equity. We said not doing as much. These are key, right? Okay. Good. All good interests and all good alternatives. So I'm going to send you to breakout rooms. Please take 2 situations. Linda, let's put them in the chat.
Okay. How long do you want people in groups?
Let's do 7 minutes, and let's do pairs.
Okay. 7 minutes in pairs. Give me a second here.
Thank you. And so again, interest is what you generally want in life in respect to that situation. Less work, more free time, a partnership, a marriage, a relationship that is equal, respect from that partner, whatever else it could be, right? Your alternative is what can you do to get it without talking to that person? Again, not saying don't talk, saying what can you do, what else can you do to get it so that you can differentiate between true negotiation and a request.
Okay, I have a question. So when seeking alternatives, it's not how you can collab with the other person, it's how you could like figure out ways around them.
Exactly. Again, not saying you address the situation by figuring another way. It could be better or it could not, right? But just knowing that you have another way is key. Okay. Linda, are we ready to send people? Thank you. And I'm going to go around the rooms and help. So Linda.
Yep, I'm gonna move the person who's on her own to group 10 where you would have been.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Yep, it should work.
Okay.
And everyone needs to accept to go to the room. It got a few people who haven't joined. I don't think I can do anything about it.
Okay.
Alessandra. And Jennifer, if you could hit the join the group. That is a problem with having pairs, is we've left it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay, so Jennifer is already in a room. Okay, good. She just wrote in the chat. Thank you, Jennifer.
Oh, okay. Oh, she's
Okay,
probably
good.
on a phone.
Yeah.
Got it. And Deanna is in a room by herself. Let me just move her. It's hard to tell if hopefully they will maybe we'll have to say come back to the main room if you're by yourself.
Yeah, Alessandra, did you get a room?
Yes, but in fact there wasn't anyone, or at least we were not able to speak, and so I decided to return to the main one.
Perfect. Let me move you
so
to
I will wait for the others to join. Maybe.
Deanna is the person who's in that group. I will move you to group 8. So go
Okay,
to group,
thank you.
group 8. Yep.
Okay, great. Okay. Good. Okay, so I will put Jennifer in the waiting room. Any feedback?
It's great. I think it's worth struggling.
Okay.
So
Okay. I think so. Okay, thank you. So I'll go to. Okay. Did people get the situations in the rooms? Yeah. Oh, great. Okay. So let me start sharing my screen again. Okay. So can someone quickly summarize interest and alternative for situation 1? You work remotely to balance caregiving responsibilities, but you notice that your contributions aren't being acknowledged in meetings. What are your interests and what are your alternatives? And what we're skipping here, you want to negotiate with, your boss, probably, maybe your colleagues, whoever needs to give you that recognition. If you haven't asked anything or haven't said anything, now is a great time to unmute and just speak. There are no wrong answers. Thank you, Linda.
sorry, wrong one.
Okay, Michelle is giving. Sorry, chat is skipping. Michelle, interest, being acknowledged, being able to be a part of a team, get credit. Sorry. Remaining remove, flexible. Oh, remote. Alternatives, go once a week to the office for important meetings. Have someone else take care of kids, regularly share accomplishments, schedule one-on-one meeting, find an ally to point you out. Love all of these. Great. Okay. What about the... Sarah, why is the alternative to ask for feedback?
Hi, Lisa. Maybe to ask for another people that is in the meeting and you have confidence to ask for feedback. Maybe you are not giving the comments in a proper way.
Okay. Well, if your interests are, that's sort of a solution. What can I do differently? What about, so if your interests are receiving that recognition, maybe receiving that salary bump that comes with being valued, what else can you do? Or if your interest is, I just simply need people to give me positive feedback. So that idea that you mentioned, Sarah, asking another colleague to actually, give you that positive feedback, that could be it. But I wouldn't have it as an alternative to negotiating with, whoever is leading the meeting to give you recognition necessarily. Okay. All right. What about the housework one? Ellie Sue, I see that you discussed this one. What are the interests and what are...
we discussed that one, and we were just saying to like make a balance between spouses and like negotiate what we felt, if one of the spouses like brings home more of an income than the other, then or is gone more than the other, then that would balance in that way, that maybe the spouse that makes less or is home more would take on more of the housework role in that way, versus the spouse that makes less or is home more would take on those roles to alternate with the spouse that's gone more and makes more financially.
And what's a key assumption in either of these scenarios is, what do we value more? Do we value equity and more free time, or same amount of free time for partners, or do we value additional income? And our responses can be different. So yeah, great. Thank you. Okay. Did anyone do the close friend who calls late at night? Vicky, I see you nodding. Would you be willing to summarize the interests and the alternatives? That's a tricky one. Still muted. No, you're still muted.
Sorry, I have a broken wrist and I'm on my phone. And anyway, lots of logistics over here.
No worries.
So this is fantastic, by the way. So I did this with Ari. I'm not sure if Ari wants to chime in, but it was interesting because she's reading a book about setting boundaries. So this was very relatable to her. And so the interests we named were wanting to get a good night's sleep and also wanting to be a supportive friend.
Excellent.
And so what we identified was, reaching out at times that are more convenient for us on a regular cadence to let the friend know that we're thinking of them. And the other alternative, or really could be in conjunction, is also turning our phone off at a point when we need it, but communicating to the friend that, my ringer's off starting at whatever time, but if you get my voicemail, it doesn't mean I'm not thinking of you, kind of thing.
And that's both the alternative and the solution. Yeah. And in some of these scenarios, going to your alternative may be the best solution. Like maybe you don't need to confront that friend, or maybe you do, right? That depends on the relationship. That depends on the interests and on the alternatives. Very good. I'm so happy to see you're getting it. Okay. Thank you, Denise, for being here. No worries at all. The recording will be there. We only have 17 minutes left. I'll be able to stay on and take more questions, but I want you to to get us through the rest of the theory so that you can actually approach negotiating with the person. So now that you've figured out your interests, you have an alternative, you're approaching an actual negotiation. But in order for the other person to really want to negotiate with you, you need to know what they want. So very often, when we talk about our worth, when we think about what we need, this is hugely important. Please continue to do so. But next step needs to be, what does the other person need? What does the other person want? What do they fear? What do they hope? How can I make it attractive to them to give me what I want? Okay? So very briefly, when you consider the other person's interests, make sure that the agreement you reach can improve your life. Don't give away everything that person needs. Only give things that give you, and how much you're willing to pay to have it your way, right? So maybe if you want in that situation with the colleague who repeatedly disrespects booking rules, maybe you can make a scene and they will stop, doing it. But will you get a reputation that maybe you don't want to get, right? So a solution really needs to fulfill your interests as well as the interests of the other person. So let's find some leverage. Hope, I'm only now going back to your question about what can we offer? What attractive things can we offer in return?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're up for a promotion, the offer is lower than you want, you have your interests, do an interesting job, be respected, be compensated in a way that's worth your while. But then what are there? And we've discussed your alternatives, looking for an offer elsewhere, going to other people in the company. What are their interests and what are the alternative? Would you be willing to take that on, Hope?
Yes.
Hey!
Yes. And I'm just making sure, am I answering a question or breaking down something?
If you could answer my question about their interests in this situation,
Okay.
the person with whom you're negotiating, let's assume it's your manager.
Okay.
What would be
So
their interests? Mm-hmm.
their interest is wanting to pay someone to do more work for the company in hopes of bringing either more networking opportunities or creating more relationships or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So they need what you're giving.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So here you're aligned. Wonderful. Hugely important. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
They need what I'm giving. They need the flexibility, maybe.
What kind of flexibility?
Maybe someone to work longer hours. Maybe someone to do more administrative work.
Okay. So they have a lot of responsibilities
Mhm.
or a lot of work that needs to be done.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything
Mhm.
else? Do they have an infinite budget?
Yes, maybe yes. We like that. Yes.
So fitting the compensation of the person who gives what you need for the company, fitting it to
Mhm.
your budget.
Yes.
Okay.
I like Vicky's statement. They said consistency and quality saving company money.
Mm-hmm. Great. What is their alternative? And
The alternative part gets me.
okay. Anyone else? So our alternative is to look for a job that gives us what we want to do and pays us more. What's their alternative? We come to them and we say, hey, I need to be compensated for my work. And they say, listen, I'm so sorry, I just don't have the budget. If you're not willing to do the work, I understand, but that's it. Their alternative could be just to do nothing. And if you stay, they get what they want. If it's the market of, if it's employer's market, maybe they can find someone who does your job and fits their budget. That's their alternative. Then why would they negotiate with you, right? And again, it doesn't mean that you can't get what you want, but you need to understand their alternatives. Okay. Thank you, Lizzie. Anything else? Any other alternatives for the employer? I think these are enough to go on. Let's analyze the meeting room one, and then I'll ask you to do one more on your own here in the main room. So you book a meeting room. The colleague booked it again. What are their interests? If you were in such a situation, if you were that annoying colleague, why would you do it? Claudia, it looks like maybe you want to say something?
Oh, just thinking aloud. I mean, that most likely the colleague was on a rush, also has an important meeting, did not have a room.
Oh my goodness. I thank you for that. Thank you so much. I hated this colleague all along. How dare they? And now you're talking about them and you're humanizing them for me. Oh, maybe they were in a rush. Again, but maybe they're disorganized. Maybe they have, whatever. So, okay, they also may need a room to do a presentation. What other interests they may have? Do they have an interest of humiliating us? Maybe yes, and maybe not. And some people will, and you will know, but most of the time, other people won't. And it's very important to understand that maybe this is not their interest. It could be a game of power, Sonia, you're absolutely right. But let's not go to this assumption before we've tested it. So what are their alternatives, right? If you show up, let's say you yell at them or not, politely ask, what is their alternative?
They can go and find a different room.
Mm-hmm. But that's sort of, yeah, if you push them out. Can they just stand their ground and be, stubborn? They can, but then they're risking their reputation. And maybe it's against their interest of being respected, loved, and ultimately employed, right? Okay, the next one, I'm going to ask someone to do the family logistics one. What are your partner's interests and what are their alternatives if they can't come to an agreement with you? And it's very, very important to understand your partner's alternative in situations like this. Okay. They can offer compensation. Oh, okay. That was the other one. Thank you, Sonia. Teresa. Oh, that was probably also for the other one. What are the
their
interests
interests could be similar, right? They
Yes.
want to respect having their own time. aside from managing these logistics?
So they want more free time. Maybe they come late from work, or maybe it's something else. Maybe they have, male gendered socialization, right? And they're like, well, women cook, women, whatnot, and I don't. And my interest is living my life, right?
They may also not even realize
Yes.
the effort
Yes.
that is
Yes.
going into all these
Yes.
plans.
Yes.
And they may have a different idea of how those things should be managed.
Yes. Then do they have as an interest a loving relationship that is not falling apart?
Yes.
Yes, they do. Do they have as an interest a partner who is not so stressed and upset and is yelling at them, or just, closing off every night? Yes. What is their alternative? If they don't want to give you what you want, and they want things done, and they want a loving relationship. Let's start with they want things done, they don't want to do them. What is their alternative?
To understand what's involved to help solve the problems.
That's not an alternative. That's a solution. The alternative is do nothing. Because if the other person is still going to get it done, the best alternative is to do nothing. So you need to go to their other interests. Do they still want to have a loving and respectful relationship? Then their alternative is to, get to a point in the relationship when it's breaking apart. Is it a good alternative? It's not a good alternative at all. What's the other one? If they want a quiet and peaceful time after work, and you don't do anything to get what you need, then the alternative, do nothing, works great. If you do something like nagging and yelling, but it's just not enough, they still would rather, have you nagging and yelling. The alternative, to do nothing, is not great for them, but they can still go for it. So you need to appeal to their interests. Do we, partner, boyfriend, husband, whatever, do we have a loving relationship when this happens? I'm growing so unsatisfied that I'm considering other things. What do you think? How do we get out of there? And suddenly it's a discussion. Suddenly the ball is on their side. You're talking about their interests. Okay, I'm going to send you the situations. You can work on them after the call. Michelle, I think one of the things we can consider is how our ego might be getting in the way, although it's hard to do. Yes, very good, because maybe a hidden interest is, I need to be a super partner. I need to do everything. I need to, satisfy that. And I'm, talking about myself, the voice of my grandma, who used to say, whatever, like clean the house top to bottom every Saturday, right? Is that my true interest? Who knows? Thank you so much, Lucia. All right. We are not going to get to the goal, but very quickly, once you figure out your interests, your alternative, the other party interests, and their alternative, which may be do nothing. Please always think about this alternative, do nothing. Then you figure out how to give them what they want. You need to set a goal for your conversation. It doesn't have to be the full thing, from now on, you do the dishes, I take the trash, and it's all equal. It may be a very small goal. Do you understand how much of my time and brain goes into figuring this out? And then we're a little bit closer to getting me what I want, right? So your minimum goal should be no worse than your alternative. If your alternative in the colleague who booked the room situation is to simply go straight to HR, go straight to HR. Don't even talk to that other person, okay? If it's better to talk to the other person, then talk to the other person. Your maximum goal should be better than for that person than their alternative. If their alternative in the partner situation is divorce, then it's definitely better for them to figure out household logistics. Okay? We're going to skip that. And finally, what I'm going to leave you with, why would someone listen to you? Once you've done the prep work, the analytical work, you need to do the job of connecting to the other person. It's fairly analytical too, but there is a lot of, human connection involved. So we listen to people that we trust. And trust in negotiations can go along different axes. One, we're similar in some way. Oh, we're all in Lin. We all know Linda. We're all women, right? You need to trust my intentions. Am I doing this webinar because I want to, take your information and spam you with emails? Or do I want other women in the world to be able to successfully get what they want, right? You need to come to this workshop. You need to trust that I'm not going to do a bunch of bull and waste your hour and a half of life. Then trusting a common experience. We have done things together. So you and I, maybe we haven't done things together, but in other situations, for example, when you come to your boss and you're asking for that raise, you say, dear boss, remember how we worked together on that project and how much we were able to do together? That was an amazing time. I learned a lot about you. I learned how to do X, Y, and Z. And this is why I think I'm going to be really successful at doing this project. How can I be helpful? And finally, trusting your means. The boss or the colleague or the partner really needs to feel it, know it in their guts that you can deliver on your promise. If you say, if you don't start taking the trash out, I will move out, you need to really be meaning it, right? If you tell to the colleague, I have just made an appointment with HR, I'll see you in, tomorrow, you really need to make this appointment. When you say, I'm taking on this project, I will deliver, your boss needs to see that you have the relevant skills, you have the experience, you can really deliver on it, or that you have another offer and you're willing to go. And that's a tricky thing. I know in different companies it can be looked weird upon, but they need to believe that you're giving what you can. You're giving what you promise. Okay, this is it. I thank you. You've been so great. If you want a consultation with me, feel free. No hidden agenda here. I am really passionate about as many people, especially women, in my life and in Linda's life and in anyone's life to be able to stand up for yourself. I want to do it. Did you get it? Oh, you didn't get it. So if you want to follow up with me, feel free. My email is on the slide. Is it on the slide? Maybe it's not on the slide. Yeah, it's here. Questions. I'm happy to stay on. If you need to log out, feel free. And Linda, passing the baton.
Questions.
Isa, can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
When we talk about negotiation, it's always like we finding the solution. Like if it's a job where the salary is not coming up to your expectation, the immediate answer is not really, doing that negotiation. Instead of that, we look at ourselves and say, what's the other job I have in hand, or what's the other interview in hand? So in today's conversation also, it was also about sometimes the person is in the room, like you find your own solutions and all. And it's not always easy to communicate, really putting your interests, that was given the priority in today's conversation, but it's a little hard that you put yourself in that selfish mode. What are your comments on that?
Yes. I think the relief and the beauty of it that with this approach, you actually don't need to be in the selfish mode. You need to be in the very empathetic, very you mode. But you still need to remember about your interests. So, how can I improve your life, Balama, if you're my boss and I've been doing an excellent job? You're really happy with me. You're giving a promotion and you want me to continue to be excellent. How can I improve your life? How can I ensure that this keeps happening? I can say, Alama, my needs are as follows. I'm so good at this. We've been working together for 5 years. We've seen these successes. This is what I would like to keep doing it. This is my price. How does it feel?
A little difficult unless you are an assertive person or who has been trained with boundaries and who you are good at what every one of us know what is our strength, and we are doing our best, whether in terms of productive work, quality work, or time frame, everything. But some of us are not able to put that and defend oneself.
Yes. So the best answer I can give is practice. But what may help is really knowing that if, let's say, Linda wants something and is willing to pay for it, then me, by setting a price that's unsatisfactory for me, I am doing a disservice to Linda because my service is going to be worse. I'm going to be unhappy. I'm going to stop doing it eventually. And Linda will not get what she wants, what she's willing to pay for. Now, if Linda's budget is limited and it's impossible for Linda to pay the price that I'm asking for, then maybe Linda says, Liza, I'm sorry, you've been really helpful, but that's as much as I can give. Maybe we could negotiate, half time. Maybe we could negotiate something bespoke. Or if I say, hey, Linda, let's say my consultation costs this much, and this is, what I really need, then we say we love each other, but let's search for other opportunities. And that's okay. That's scary as hell. But again, if Linda really needs what I can provide, but at the same time, Linda's interests are not to, get in debt, then that's just what it is. So, and this is why I spent so much time discussing alternatives and interests, because you need to check the reality. But again, the reality can be better than you think it is. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, in the corporate world, it's a little different. For Linda, I don't mind doing anything. That's different.
Yeah. But what is, I think it's really helpful to think, what is different? Is it that their alternative is do nothing and it will solve itself?
No,
Maybe.
their alternatives are mostly going for people with most of the time for less money, less. There are lots of people out there whom they can get a little, as your age goes up, there's also this sort of belief that they are able to get someone at the entry level and they can actually get it at a lower price. And your confidence yeah, if you have done this to me at 10 years back, I would just say, go ahead. I will go. But now your confidence is also depending on how you are, your age is going on.
Yes, but that's an internal thing.
Yeah.
That the external reality is influences, and not to say that this is not true. In many cases, it is absolutely true. But don't do yourself a disservice of assuming something about the person on the other side that you're not sure of. After all, hiring is hugely expensive. Yep. Sorry, did I get disconnected? Just really don't come in with a ready-made narrative. Really analyze the situation. It's scary. It's going to get better.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. I'll
thank
give the
you.
opportunity to someone else. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, reactions, disagreements, concerns?
I'm an action-oriented person, so who is going to take Liza up on her offer of that 30-minute consultation? Please raise your hand.
Oh, wow.
Janelle? Who else? Malama? Excellent. Who else?
Thank you, Alessandra.
I will,
Mary?
Mary.
I'm not trying to pressure you. I'm just asking.
No pressure.
I was trying to get my audio because now I'm having trouble with that as well as the video. So thank you for bearing with me. I really learned a lot. It was amazing. The way to look at negotiation and the style is something that I've never experienced. So thank you very much for all your information, and the examples were great and right on target. So I'm really glad I was able to get online. It was a little bit of a effort, but I was like, I'm determined to get into this negotiation workshop.
I
So
appreciate it. And thank you for
Yes.
the kind words. It means a lot. I'm really happy.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
The perspectives were a little different, like the way you were always talking about alternatives. So it was really good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. And I really do believe in it, because why are we giving up our agency? Why are we giving up our power by thinking, oh, they're not going to let me, they're ageist, sexist? Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, or maybe they are, and it's still in their best interest to hire me, to pay me more, to do what I want. So my job is to find what they really want. And of course, build trust. And it's going to be different with someone who is, really like a 60-year-old white male who grew up in the US. For me, I grew up in Russia. It's going to be different. But can I build that trust? Can I make them listen to me? Yes, if I have things to offer.
I have a position that I'm pleased with. However, I feel like because I am a go-getter, I've become somewhat of a threat to my supervisor without trying to. It's an uncomfortable situation because I want to do well in the work while still honoring their authority. However, I feel like I'm given a different set of expectations compared to my coworkers who are not as much of a threat in the workplace. And so I looked for another job because I want to feel comfortable where I work. And I'm still working at this other place, but more of a reduced schedule. My question is, how do you rebuild trust when it's been lost?
Very good. Great question. Thank you. And are you talking about rebuilding trust with that supervisor?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I'm struggling with trusting their motives and intentions because of past history.
I would want to know more about the situation, but the way I would approach it, I would go back to the four axes of trust. which is you as a person who is nice to talk to, right? Who is not, throwing teacups, who is responsible, professional, and maybe who likes something about me. That alt compliment, appropriate, goes a long way. Oh, I really like that dress. Oh, I'm not going to advise you to give compliments, but really showing that there is something in the other person that you admire or respect, or that it's something that resonates with you. And very often we can find it with the person that we feel maybe a little, animosity towards. But there is something, right? So that's one. Two is intentions. And that's going to be crucial. I come here to talk to you because I want us to work well together. That job, what we do, you know, giving retired people purpose, activities, or, taking kids to the pool in their spare time, or whatever you do, creating more opportunities for women. I really care about that. And I assume you do too. I see you caring about that. So finding that thing where you align. My intentions are to work well together. Then thinking about the successful experiences that you've had together. Maybe you work together on a project. Maybe you help with something. Maybe they help with something. Or maybe you had a bad experience together, but you come with a reflection. I've been thinking about that project, and this is what I think I could do differently now. So building that trust rooted in the common experience that can now be different. And then again, going back to their interests, what do they want in life? Do they want a person who's highly competent, highly responsible, can do more work? Yes. Do they want to keep that person? Maybe, maybe not. But really learning as much about what they want. Does it help at all?
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Happy to brainstorm more, book a 30-minute, consult, like how many months out the offer still stands.
Yeah, I can back up what you just said, Liza, with these situations where it gets tense because of that stuff. Those are all things that would have worked. So if you can get yourself to a generous place, it's manage up in that situation.
They want something. They always want something. And you can give it to them.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, other questions, comments?
Hearing none, I will stop the